When it comes to working on electric vehicles, training is important, but competence is key. Having the knowledge and understanding of limitations or skills when it comes to working on electric vehicles is extremely important to make sure that technicians are conducting themselves in a safe and sensible manner. To find out more about the importance of competence alongside training, I caught up with Ben Stockton, Managing Director at Our Virtual Academy, to discuss the issue. Why is competence important when it comes to electric vehicles?
Back in the day when I was first writing the training for the Toyota Prius, back in 2003, I think it was, there was a lovely slide that came up, and it asked the question, what's the most important tool when working on a high voltage vehicle? And the response to that was your brain. And it really hit home with me, because to be safe when working on these vehicles, it's about truly understanding what you're doing. It's not about just following some rules blindly because you've been told to. It's about understanding and comprehending what you're doing. And you're only going to get that through competence. Competence is the process of, well, there's such a thing called the hierarchy of competence. And it's in 4 steps, and like the very lowest step is unconscious incompetence. So you don't even know that you're incompetent. And the next step up is conscious incompetence. So this is where you don't know enough about the system to be truly competent, but you know enough to be aware that there's risks and you need to be developed further. Then the next stage is conscious competence, and that's the process of very much thinking about the issue, spending serious care, referring to technical data, etc., which is a good place to get to. And then finally, there's unconscious competence, where you absolutely naturally know the required steps, and you still think about it. Whenever I work on a high voltage vehicle, there will be many times when I put in a little pause to my process, and I am just pausing just to reflect upon the actions that I'm doing, making sure that what I'm doing is the correct thing to do, and then proceeding. And I'm not really telling myself to do that. I naturally know to make those pauses, and that's, roughly speaking, the pinnacle of competence. So getting technicians to that area is the aim of the game, if you ask me.
And how is competence defined in the Electricity at Work Act? Because I imagine that's quite an important area as well when it comes to technicians and garages working on electric vehicles.
Yeah, very much so. So electricity at work regulation, what it really focuses on is that the person doing the job must have sufficient knowledge or experience to be able to do that job competently. And if they can't, they need to be working under a sufficient degree of supervision. Essentially, the electricity at work regulation is looking for people to really understand what they're doing. And if they are, then the employer has taken their responsibilities sufficiently seriously to get that member of staff to the point that they need to be. One of the other key points regarding it, because it defines technical knowledge or experience, and The top one's the one that I'll refer to, and that is adequate knowledge of electricity. Electrical understanding is one of the weak areas in a huge part of the motor industry. And that goes with whether we're talking about a 12-volt system or whether we're talking about a 800-volt high voltage battery circuit. Electricity is still working in the same way. It still takes voltage to push current through a resistance. Um, and I think that really making sure learners have got the foundations right and that they really understand electricity properly is key to them being sufficiently knowledgeable and experienced to be allowed to work on high voltage vehicles. And it's a key part of training of when working on hybrid and electric vehicles, if you ask me.
And how does training help to build competence around electric vehicle work?
Good training involves a significant amount of time being spent with these systems. It needs to include explaining the risks and explaining the solutions and giving a learner enough knowledge to be able to make informed decisions about what they are doing and whether proceeding with a certain task is risky or not, and what needs to be done to mitigate that risk. And that is only going to come through comprehensive training.
And how is our virtual academy helping to build skills within the aftermarket around electric vehicle development?
We think it's all about time spent learning. So our online suite is very comprehensive, includes many hours of learning, and includes very challenging end tests that are both teaching and assessing the learner in the area of electrics itself, and in system operation and safe working practice. And we often run that in parallel, and our customers do as well, with face-to-face training events too. So our face-to-face training courses are long. They're 4 day. So our IMI level 3 is a 4-day event, and our IMI level 4 is a 4-day event. So that's 4 days of learning, along with those learners gaining access to all of the online content, many hours of online content as well. And we believe that's important. Having many days around the subject, learning about it, and working in a practical manner. I mean, these 4-day courses that I'm referring to, EV Tech is the level 3, and EV Masters is the level 4. They're very much biased towards practical. Roughly speaking, I'd say they're about 80% practical, 20% classroom based. And so we're giving learners a chance to really gain some meaningful experience working on these systems. And essentially we start at one end of the vehicle and work our way through to the other end of the vehicle, a bumper to bumper training course, giving the learners a meaningful amount of experience, both in system operation and diagnostic processes, and of course embedded with safe working practice and dynamic risk assessments throughout the whole course. It's proven to be very successful, and is a game changer for many of the learners that come and attend it. It's a pleasure to teach.
With more of these vehicles coming to UK roads, More are going to end up in independent workshops in the coming years, and therefore understanding them is vital. You can find out more about the courses on offer by Our Virtual Academy by visiting www.ourvirtualacademy.com or clicking the QR code on this video. You can also contact them using the details on screen.